Hello, it's Damian Questiny. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. Do y'all want to talk about time? Is that an interesting subject? I'd like to put a different perspective on it if I may, because I know a lot of you out there, at least the ones on this channel, are obviously very aware and educated in world affairs, educated in spirituality, and they know what they're talking about. When you do remote viewing, time is a component of every session. Because the remote viewer has to have some type of anchor, it generally uses time as that instrument to make that happen. So when people talk about remote viewing, time comes up a lot. And people ask, well, can you see things in the past? Can you see things in the future? Things like that. So let's discuss it. The nature of reality, from my experience through these processes and practices, is in the nature of time is actually how we all trust everything that happens around us. It is that which provides stability. On the local, which is your current position right now, in perspective right now, in this moment, is your local. And it provides trust for the aggregate, which is the consensus of every living thing that has a pulse, a breath, and a life. At this moment in the present. And what is a present? Nothing more than a gift. Let's look at the present as it pertains to the body, because when a remote viewer enters into these sessions, your body is actually broken into 4 parts, at least the way I do it. And the way I do it is going to be very unpopular with a lot of other so-called remote viewers out there. Because it's broken into 4 pieces. And those pieces are like elements. And this is part of the Elemental Hypertech experience, because it's multiple practices, not just remote viewing, but remote viewing is so critical because of the conduits it opens in you, because the electromagnetic resonance it provides. So what are these 4 parts? Think of it as you are a transmitter, you are a receiver, you are a listener, and you are a repeater. It provides the difference between 2 points, time, and it registers it. And when it registers it as an event that took place, that is then brought in to the great aggregate, or the Akashic record, for those spiritually inclined out there. It brings that in as an event that took place, and then all of the people around that who have witnessed it will say, yes, that took place. I witnessed it. That's done. Perfect. A witness. This has been witnessed. This has been done. Therefore, it is an event in time. And then we, as a sentient human being that's plugged into this, can insert ourselves into that energy field that's all around us and say, yeah, I found it. Here it is. There it is. Right, boom, boom. There it is. And how is it registered? It's registered through frequency and vibration. because it makes an impact in this world that we live in, that when, the air we breathe, this soup that we're in, like a fish would be in water, we are in air. But that moment right now, right here, is the 8th chakra, the singularity. The exact moment of agreement between the aggregate and the local. This moment right now is the singularity of everything. And we use that singularity to make and create and manifest the world in which we want to live in. And what the world that you see around you is the world that you created. Own it. Take responsibility for it. If you see evil, then do something about it. If you see good, then do something about it. Just do something about it. Anyway, not to get too far afield, but let's put this into a larger perspective just so we understand time a little bit deeper. For those who like to listen longer, I think I beat a dead horse. So time is simply a consensus of trust within the systems in which we create. And on top of that, what makes it even more interesting, it's also, and this is why nobody messes with it, but it's also how we trust everything. It's how we have a relationship with the world. Because it's a way for us to file our memories of when we touch a leaf or when we get a sunburn. It's the nuances. It's a way to organize the nuances for memory, for appreciation and gratitude. So that way you're accurate and you have evidence in what you're doing. Now, let's get into the body. The body, in the singularity of the now moment, is what you have created, and time is how you organize where to find events that have taken place through the nuances and differences between all of the actions that are happening. And all that interaction and sound bouncing around. So if you look at a target through remote viewing, the target will actually represent and communicate certain flavors. It'll have an essence, a vitality to it. Either a young feel or a wise feel. It'll have value if it's real. If it's not real and detrimental, you'll pick up negative value traits, which is also another tell, but that's for another talk maybe later. So the flavor, essence, and value play a critical role in retrieving temporally, in time, right? The target artifact, the information that you're looking for, by building that relationship. And then you progress through that relationship. When you do this, though, remember, whatever it gives you, you're giving it as well. Because that's the nature of this process. And that is the warning that I need to build into this, is be careful what you go in remote view. Because if you are using this technique and these practices that I am telling you about, the Elemental Hypertech practice, you are doing it through a relationship. And you give and you get. And I do that for cause and effect reasons and karmic reasons for the spiritually inclined. I like that word. So, if the target is giving you the flavor of temperature, and it's very defined information, very clear and concise in its impressions and expressions, I would start organizing that information in a way of the past. Perhaps it might be wise to look at it as if I remember when, because you are inserting yourself again into the Akashic record and withdrawing the event itself, looking at the event, analyzing it, looking at every detail. However, if you enter into a target and you get the impression and expressions of pressure, where you're having to differentiate very quickly between items and feelings, things from the gut, I would recommend thinking of organizing that in things of the future. So it's things that you hear for the future and things that you see for the past. Which brings us to the third aspect, which is the present moment. And that is born from our core, our heart, our singularity, our ever-present now. Now, if you enter into a target and you are receiving impressions and expressions that have a foundational flavor and essence with smell, or perhaps you are tasting it, or you can touch it in some way and feel the nature of its shape and how it's formed. And you could start organizing the language and the impressions you're getting in the present moment. So the target will reveal itself to you if you just simply have a relationship with it. It'll show you whether it's something in the past, something in the present, or something in the future. And you can access any target, any aim you want, past, present, or future, by the modes of your body. So let's say something exists right here in the present. You build that structure and that relationship and that progress that you want, because that's what relationships are. Relationships are progress to incorporate something better through a commitment. So you take the present, the form, the shape, and you build the structure. And let's say you want to look at its future. So you would access your gut, your water. If you wanted to understand the wisdom behind the decisions that were made in order to make something come to be from the past. You can use the air, your mind, access the past, access the event structure, that Akashic record that caused and affected those things to karmically appear and cause influence to everybody else. And that's in the remote viewing, whether you know you're remote viewing something that is real or something that is not real, simply by the velocity, volume, and intensity of influence and value. I hope that's helpful for everybody out there looking at this, and how time and remote viewing play a role, and how you can organize it into your body systems. Maybe some other time we can look at space and how the cycles work. Y'all have a great day. Cheers.